Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is directed by Christopher McQuarrie and stars Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, and a ton of other people. Ethan Hunt and the IMF team must track down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity if it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake, a deadly race around the globe begins. Confronted by a mysterious, all-powerful entity, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than the mission, not even the lives of those he cares about most. Now, I've been a really big fan of the Mission Impossible films, especially some of the more recent ones. Like with the Fast and Furious franchise, they started off there. I mean, they were much better than Fast and Furious, but each film progressively got better and better as it kept turning out. Except at this point, Fast and Furious is again worse than it was before, while Mission Impossible is still staying consistent with each and every film, and Dead Reckoning Part 1 is no difference in my opinion. This film, while I don't think reaches the same heights as Fallout in my opinion, I think it is still nonetheless an exciting action film with great stunts, special effects, greatly performed by Tom Cruise once again, and a really intriguing plot that keeps our heroes on edge. Like, you don't know if they are going to be able to do this impossible task, hence the title Mission Impossible. And the movie keeps that tension throughout its entire 2 hour and 49 minute runtime, or 50 something minutes, I don't know. This is a near 3 hour film. Like John Wick Chapter 4 earlier this year, this is sort of the concluding part of this entire story, and hence that's why it's really long. Except it's split into two parts. But what I also love most about this film was how, even though this is a part 1, this still feels like a complete package. You get character arcs that end here, but you get just enough setup for the next film to get excited about what is to come, and there's enough loose threads there for it to be concluded by the next movie. And you can still watch this film and still get a complete experience, unlike something like Across the Spider-Verse, which I do love, but that movie is going to live or die by its second part being good. This movie, I feel like, can stand on itself very well, even if the next movie for some reason sucks. This movie I still think is going to be very much looked back on as still being a pretty good and awesome action-packed film. And that is mostly due to Tom Cruise doing his absolute best to make sure that everything feels as real as possible. A lot of the stunts here that he does on his own are fantastic. A lot of the stunt work here is once again top tier. Everyone's on their A game. The only downside I would say is that the visual effects, while not bad, you can sometimes tell it's there. From what I understand, this is the first Mission Impossible film to go digital. Like, they did not do any film cameras, they took digital cameras, and it kind of shows in some special effects scenes that are pretty heavy on them. And I think this movie would have looked a lot better had it been filmed on film. And that would make the immersion so much better, because that is what's pulling me back from really saying that this is much better than Fallout, because I absolutely love Fallout, but because it feels more real. Not that this movie doesn't feel real, the action is still intense and everything, it's just that some visual effects shots, mostly green screen shots, just did not look quite there or as real as it should. Hopefully that will be rectified in the next film, and hopefully they perfect the digital look of the next movie. But still, it never took me out of the experience. The stunts were still great and immersive. There's a really exciting car chasing near the beginning of the film that heavily reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road in all the best ways. And Pom Klementieff, who is in this film, as sort of a henchman to the bad guys here. She is threatening, and I love her presence in this entire action sequence. She is awesome and really does stand toe-to-toe very well with Tom Cruise. And Haley Atwell is, wow, I didn't expect her to be this good. She steals almost all the film for me as a thief who is put into a situation that she did not expect to find herself in, and she slowly starts to get more invested in this mission as she spends more time with Ethan Hunt and his team. Luther and everyone else are all great. Ving Rhames does a great job as this character, and he still has that friendly bond with Ethan Hunt that made them so much fun to watch together. Simon Pegg is once again funny here, and Rebecca Ferguson is once again badass as ever. The White Widow, Vanessa Kirby, has a significant plot point, but she's not as much of a standout here as she was in Fallout. Back in Fallout, she was a much more interesting character. But certainly the villains here are great and tie in very well to Ethan Hunt's past, unlike Fast and Furious, which just takes invents random characters and put them in like the past that we never see them in. Here, it actually ties in very well from previous films. You understand how all these events led up to these moments, and for that, you feel the tension, you feel the stakes, everything felt earned, and that's what made these action sequences still so much fun to watch. Not just the fact that a lot of them were practically filmed with great stunt work, but the story and the stakes are still intact. Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise understand that in order to make a great film, your story has to be just as fantastic and well written as the technology you have in your movie. Otherwise, all the crazy stunt work will be all for nothing. And this film delivered on both the story front and the action front. This is a really engaging film that goes a lot into the effects of AI and how much we give it power. And in a way, it actually feels kind of relevant today, considering the fact that a lot of stuff today are used with AI. And it talked about what would happen if we give AI a little too much power to the point where it becomes self-aware. Sort of a relevant theme that the movie goes for that I personally loved, and I think it worked very well within the film. Never felt cheesy or out of place like something out of an 80s movie version of AI. It felt threatening throughout, knowing that there's one entity that Ethan Hunt and his team cannot see. It makes all the moments where there's a lot of tension going on or action sequences going on just feel more intense, like you don't know what is going to happen, and makes this by far their most impossible mission ever, which is also why I'm glad they were able to split this into two parts, but still being able to make this film feel conclusive and satisfying by the end. Overall, this film, in my opinion, is another home run in the Mission Impossible series. This franchise just keeps getting better and better as time goes on. The action set pieces are great. Again, the green screen could have been a bit better in my opinion. I think it's because of the digital look that's going for. But that's just like a small nitpick in a ocean of greatness. This movie is definitely worth the price of admission, and I'm going to give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 an A. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.